if you're referring to the new understanding you have with your boss, that was entirely your own doing.
There was a time when television didn't compete through spectacle, it competed through imagination. No streaming wars, no cinematic universes, no algorithm-driven storytelling. Just the promise that, for 1 hour each week, viewers could escape into a world where anything seemed possible. In the late 1970s, that promise arrived on the wings of a seaplane gliding toward a mysterious destination. Fantasy Island wasn't just another show, it was a ritual, a mood, a cultural pause button that allowed audiences to step outside their lives. Yet behind that polished white suit and idyllic tropical illusion lies a story far stranger than fiction. A show born from frustration, sustained by chemistry, deepened by interpretation, and ultimately undone by the very human fragility that created it. Today, we're exploring 9 of the most meaningful and fascinating facts about Fantasy Island, not as disconnected trivia, but as a narrative arc that reveals how this series came into existence, flourished, collapsed, and left behind lessons that still echo across entertainment today. Let's begin where every story must. 1. The entire concept began as a sarcastic remark. Fantasy Island exists because of creative exhaustion. Producer Aaron Spelling entered a network meeting armed with multiple proposals, all rejected. After the 6th dismissal, frustration replaced enthusiasm. He jokingly suggested the most ridiculous idea he could think of: an island where people could live out their fantasies. It wasn't a pitch. It was emotional release. But irony has always played a role in entertainment history. The network loved the idea and approved development. That moment demonstrates something fundamental about creativity. Groundbreaking concepts often emerge not from precision planning, but from spontaneity born under pressure. The DNA of Fantasy Island reflects that origin. Each episode explored unpredictable desires and emotional surprises, mirroring the accidental nature of its creation. The show's identity began as chaos, and chaos, occasionally, produces brilliance. 2. Casting Ricardo Montalban defined the show's foundation. Once the concept existed, its tone depended on the figure guiding viewers through it. Executives initially pursued major cinematic prestige, considering legendary actors known for gravitas. But weekly television production required endurance, discipline, and consistency rather than grandeur alone. Spelling chose Ricardo Montalban. This decision was less about star power and more about architecture. Montalban embodied calm authority, reliability, and quiet magnetism. His presence stabilized a narrative format built on ever-changing guest stories. He didn't dominate scenes through flamboyance, he grounded them through control. That consistency gave audiences trust, a psychological anchor, ensuring even surreal fantasies felt emotionally coherent. Without that casting decision, the show might have been spectacle. Instead, it became experience. 3. The Roarke-Tattoo dynamic became the emotional engine. No character exists in isolation. Mr. Rourke's elegance found its mirror in Tattoo's exuberance, played by Hervé Villechaize. Their physical and emotional contrast created one of television's most recognizable partnerships. The famous announcement of arriving guests wasn't merely comedic, it signaled anticipation, ritual, and warmth. Behind the scenes, this dynamic nearly disappeared. Executives proposed replacing Tattoo with a glamorous assistant, assuming visual appeal would broaden audience interest. Spelling resisted, recognizing something deeper than aesthetics. Storytelling thrives on opposition. Tall and composed versus small and animated. Authority versus spontaneity. Structure versus unpredictability. This contrast generated authenticity that viewers felt subconsciously. Their chemistry transformed exposition into personality. It proved that emotional resonance cannot be manufactured through surface adjustments. It arises from relational balance. 4. The series became a gateway for future stars. Fantasy Island's anthology format invited a rotating roster of guest performers. This created an ecosystem where emerging actors could gain exposure. One appearance could open industry doors, secure union membership, or attract casting attention. Among those early opportunities was a young performer who would later achieve international recognition, Michelle Pfeiffer. Her role in the series helped launch a trajectory that extended far beyond episodic television. This reflects the broader cultural function of classic network television. Not merely entertainment delivery, but industry cultivation. Shows like Fantasy Island formed connective tissue linking generations of performers. The island wasn't only a fictional destination, it was a professional threshold. 5. The paradise was a carefully constructed illusion. Audiences imagined a single lush island setting, yet production stitched together multiple geographic locations to maintain the illusion. California landscapes doubled as tropical environments, sound stages provided interior continuity, and aerial shots from Hawaii reinforced authenticity. Even the iconic plane symbolized layered storytelling beyond fiction, possessing its own unusual history separate from the narrative. This fabrication reveals television's deeper artistry. Fantasy Island itself represented emotional illusion, granting viewers imaginative escape, while its creation relied on technical illusion. The series existed simultaneously as fantasy, narrative, and logistical puzzle. That duality underscores how storytelling often depends on transforming fragments into unity. Magic is rarely singular, it's assembled. 6. Montalban's personal interpretation added spiritual depth. One of the show's most profound dimensions never appeared explicitly in scripts. Ricardo Montalban internally conceptualized Mr. Roarke as a fallen angel seeking redemption. According to this interpretation, guiding guests through lessons and consequences served as moral penance. This belief influenced performance subtly: tone, patience, restrained authority. It reframed episodes as ethical journeys rather than wish fulfillment. Fantasies weren't granted freely. They revealed truths about desire, responsibility, and consequence. Such interpretation highlights an essential truth about performance art. Meaning sometimes emerges from actor insight rather than textual instruction. Through this lens, Fantasy Island becomes allegorical storytelling, a meditation on growth through confrontation with one's own desires. 7. The departure of Tattoo marked the beginning of the end. Creative ecosystems depend on human relationships. As tensions between Villechaize and production escalated, collaboration fractured. His eventual departure removed more than a character, it disrupted equilibrium. Attempts to replace the role preserved narrative mechanics but not emotional chemistry. Audience engagement declined. Within a season, the series concluded. This outcome illustrates a lesson repeated across creative industries. Concepts and formats are resilient, but relational authenticity is fragile. When connection dissolves, structure alone cannot sustain engagement. Fantasy Island ended not through exhaustion of ideas, but through disruption of balance. 8. Legacy reconsideration restored complexity to Villechaize's story. In subsequent years, Villechaize's personal struggles overshadowed his artistic contributions. Public perception simplified him to catchphrases rather than complexity. Decades later, dramatized retellings and renewed examination reintroduced nuance, portraying talent, vulnerability, and ambition. Villechaize's relationship with the production deteriorated. Conflicts escalated. Eventually, he departed, and with him went the delicate chemistry anchoring the series. A replacement assistant could fill narrative function, but not emotional resonance. Ratings declined. Within a season, the show ended. It's a textbook case of creative ecosystems collapsing when interpersonal balance disappears. Concepts can survive change, formats can evolve, but human connection once broken is rarely replaceable. Villechaize's personal journey afterward became complicated and painful, and his legacy was long overshadowed by caricature. Decades later, a dramatized retelling of his life helped restore nuance and dignity to public memory. That retrospective recognition speaks to how cultural narratives evolve, how time re-examines people once simplified by headlines. Cultural memory evolves. Figures once flattened by media narratives can be rediscovered with empathy and depth. This reassessment forms part of Fantasy Island's extended legacy, demonstrating how storytelling continues beyond broadcast timelines. History revises understanding, and sometimes redemption arrives through remembrance. 9. Reboots proved the original was lightning in a bottle. Hollywood repeatedly attempted to recreate Fantasy Island through revivals and reinterpretations. Despite updated production methods and contemporary contexts, none achieved equivalent resonance. The reason lies beyond writing or casting. The original success depended on convergence, cultural timing, performer chemistry, audience habits, and emotional appetite for optimistic escapism. These variables cannot be reconstructed through design. Some phenomena are singular events. Replication may capture appearance, but never essence. Because the original success wasn't formulaic. It wasn't merely premise, casting, or structure. It was timing, arriving when audiences sought optimistic escapism. It was chemistry actors forming irreplaceable dynamics. It was context television rituals shared by families each weekend. Fantasy Island belonged to its moment. and that uniqueness defines its endurance. As we step back from this journey, the show reveals insights extending beyond nostalgia. It teaches that creativity can arise unexpectedly, that relationships shape artistic longevity, that interpretation enriches narrative depth, and that impermanence gives cultural artifacts their meaning. The island itself promised transformation through fantasy, but its real legacy lies in demonstrating transformation within creativity, how accidents become institutions, how collaboration becomes identity, and how memory becomes mythology. If revisiting these stories sparked reflection or curiosity, join the conversation. Share in the comments which fact resonated most or what classic series you'd like explored next. If you enjoyed this exploration into television history, support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and continuing the journey with future deep dives into the stories behind the stories. Because sometimes the most revealing adventures aren't the ones characters experience on screen, but the ones hidden in how those worlds came to life. Until next time, keep exploring.